Caitlin, what's the status of your health right now, and what specifically injury-wise between the ankle and the groin was it that prevented you from coming back this year?
Yeah, honestly, I've been working really hard to get back to full health, and I feel like probably over these last...
Would it be possible that the WNBA's biggest star was about to quit? Caitlin Clark is said to have been pushed to her breaking point by a startling betrayal that occurred inside the Indiana Fever locker room. And it all revolves around the public humiliation and expulsion of one of her teammates. This tale tells about a broken loyalty bond and a grave threat that has the potential to bring down the entire league. However, as we'll see, the most startling tale is occasionally the one that never materialized. Furthermore, the truth about how we get here is considerably more illuminating than the popular fantasy. Online, the murmurs began and eventually became a roar. Lexie Hull, a Fever guard, was rumored to have been abruptly removed off the team. The fans were taken aback. Hull was seen as a crucial component in Indiana since he was a dependable teammate and a strong defender. The league was rocked by the decision, which felt personal and was made with cold blood. It was presented as the height of contempt, and it is said to have started a fire beneath Caitlin Clark. Social media went crazy. The number of Twitter threads increased hourly. Timelines were overrun with YouTube videos with clickbait names. Shattering. The Indiana Fever make a startling choice. A teammate of Caitlin Clark betrayed her. The algorithm adored it. The level of engagement was quite high, as supporters took sides, argued on front office proficiency, and raised concerns about the franchise's very survival. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. The story was picked up by sports talk shows. Despite their seldom coverage of the WNBA, pundits suddenly had strong opinions regarding Indianapolis roster management. The story was too good to pass up. A young superstar battles a heartless corporate machine on behalf of her teammate. It was the epitome of the ideal sports drama. The news went from being a whisper to a wildfire in just 48 hours. Whole episodes of fan podcasts were devoted to discussing the ramifications. Reddit communities were overflowing with conjecture and speculations. Thousands of people uploaded Instagram images with eye-catching headlines. Depending on where you looked, the narrative took on various shapes. In certain iterations, Hull was swapped. Some said that she was waived. It was a mutual parting, according to some. However, they all concurred on one point. There had been a horrible incident. Caitlin Clark was incensed about it as well. It was astounding how quickly this spread. By Wednesday afternoon, what began as a single unsubstantiated rumor at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday had taken center stage in women's basketball narratives. Stories and sources were being cited by news organizations that take pride in their accuracy, but they never mentioned the sources or the locations of the stories. The rumor had started to spread on its own. Each news story or video citing earlier articles and videos in a continuous loop of circular reporting. You must comprehend Lexie Hull and what she stands for to the Indiana Fever in order to comprehend why this notion is so widely circulated. After being a vital member of a winning squad at Stanford, Hull was selected in the first round of the 2022 WNBA draft. She is recognized as a 3-and-D player because of her ability to play aggressive defense and make three-pointers. In any basketball system, those guys are valuable, but they are especially so in a league where each player must contribute and roster spots are limited. On the court, Hull isn't the most impressive player. She is the kind of teammate that superstars need, even though she doesn't dominate highlights or pack the stat sheet as Clark does. She handles the grunt work. She protects the top perimeter player on the opposing team. She arranges the screens. She goes above and beyond. She plays with glue. Additionally, those players are frequently overlooked until they pass away. More significantly, Hull and Clark had become true friends. Both of them come from basketball families, are competitive, and have won. Clark has stated in interviews that she felt most at ease with Hull as a teammate. Hull frequently benefited from the attention defenses gave Clark, getting wide-open three-point looks, and they had synergy on the court. They were regularly spotted together off the court at community appearances and team functions. The rumor gained credibility because of this association. It would have been a huge betrayal if the Fever front office had actually cut Hull without first speaking with Clark. It would have demonstrated that management didn't respect Clark's relationships or value her opinions. It would have been the precise type of corporate disdain that turns top talent away from companies. Hull and Clark had a personal relationship, which gave the story emotional weight and made it seem real even in the absence of proof. Reports of Clark's response initially surfaced. She was reportedly incensed and felt that the choice was a clear insult. Clark is renowned for her loyalty, so it seems that she couldn't take the notion that her friend would be arbitrarily dismissed by the front office. This was a betrayal, not merely a roster change. The story depicted a franchise that was totally disconnected from its star player, causing a rift that might never be healed. Unnamed sources asserted that they had inside knowledge. They depicted contentious discussions that took place behind closed doors in great detail. According to reports, Clark was contacting other players in the league, calling teammates, and talking to her inner circle about her next course of action. With each recounting, the story got more complex. She allegedly barged into the general manager's office, according to some sources. Others asserted that she was refusing to take part in group activities until the matter was settled. Clark allegedly requested an emergency players-only meeting to examine the problem, according to one extremely detailed account. This version claims that she asked her teammates if they felt safe in the company during an impassioned lecture about respect and loyalty. According to a different report, she had contacted other elite players in the league to find out about their experiences and whether she ought to think about alternative choices once her contract expired. The silence from the Indiana Fever organization only served to feed rumors. Their silence was taken as an admission of guilt and proof that a horrible event had indeed occurred. Answers were requested by fans. Indianapolis local media hurried to verify the information, but it appeared to be limited to secondhand reports and social media. Additionally, Clark's own silence was taken as proof. She is so furious that she is unable to discuss it. Some conjectured that her attorneys had instructed her to be silent. According to another notion, she is allegedly working behind the scenes to get Hull reinstated. Actually, Clark's quiet was just a professional athlete maintaining her focus on her work. However, rumors were everywhere in the absence of official information. We must examine the past of celebrity players clashing with WNBA teams in order to completely see why this rumor got such currency. Accusations of poor management have been made previously. Regretfully, some of those accusations have turned out to be accurate. The WNBA and player relations have a convoluted past. There is frequently conflict between what players believe they should receive and what organizations can offer, because the league has smaller funding than men's professional sports. There have occasionally been subpar facilities. Travel plans have drawn criticism. Even superstars' salaries pale in comparison to those of male players in comparable roles. There have been confirmed reports of elite athletes feeling devalued by their clubs. Players have publicly complained about unfair treatment, left in free agency, or forced swaps. The whole report seemed believable due to the league's past, as supporters were aware that poor administration was a possibility. It had already occurred. Additionally, there had been organizational instability with the Indiana Fever in particular. Prior to Clark's arrival, the team experienced a number of unsuccessful seasons. There had been turnover in the front office and coaching changes. The franchise was undergoing reconstruction, and these processes are rarely easy. After years of witnessing the team's hardship, supporters were ready to assume that management would make another error. The rumor flourished because of this environment. It wasn't a haphazard falsehood. It was a deception that blended in well with pre-existing theories about the team and the league. It was extremely strong and challenging to refute since it validated what some people already believed or wanted to think. Additionally, time was important. This rumor surfaced during the WNBA offseason, when fans are eager for content and news regarding the league moves more slowly. There were no performances to evaluate, no games to talk about, and no standings to argue. The kind of fodder that the offseason was craving was a juicy scandal involving the biggest star in the league. Content producers took advantage of this knowledge. At that point, the biggest danger emerged. According to the tale, Caitlin Clark was so appalled by her teammates' behavior that she was thinking about quitting the WNBA entirely. The nuclear option was this. Clark is the only person in history who is increasing viewership, selling out venues, and generating more revenue and publicity for the league. Her leaving would be disastrous for the WNBA, a complete catastrophe. And it all appeared to be the result of a single, startling betrayal. The consequences were startling. There is more to Caitlin Clark than meets the eye. She is a sensation. She shattered viewership records during her time in college at Iowa. With almost 19 million viewers, the 2024 NCAA Championship game starring Clark became the most watched men's or women's collegiate or professional basketball game in 5 years. Season ticket sales soared when Indiana selected her first overall. Fever Games attendance tripled. All of a sudden, national TV networks wanted to show WNBA games in prime time. Let's use particular figures to put this into perspective. Before Clark joined the league, an average of 400,000 people watched a WNBA game on television. The average number of viewers for Clark's games was over 1.2 million. From playing in front of mostly deserted arenas, the Fever now sell out every home game and attract enormous audiences when they travel. Clark jerseys led the league's merchandise sales, which increased 500% year over year. The number of corporate sponsors has skyrocketed. All of a sudden, businesses who had never run ads during WNBA broadcasts were purchasing commercial time. According to reports, Nike increased its marketing expenditures for women's basketball by thrice. Clark was featured heavily in national campaigns for Gatorade. Her presence had repercussions that went well beyond Indianapolis. The whole league was being lifted by her. It would be more than just the Fever that would suffer if Clark left. The league as a whole would be rocked by it. $1 million sponsorship agreements would fall through. Contracts for television would have to be renegotiated. Overnight, the WNBA's years-long momentum might come crashing down. The stakes are really high, and the rumors said that everything was on the verge of collapse. As possible destinations, rival leagues were mentioned, worldwide prospects in Asia or Europe. Clark might even decide to quit basketball altogether because he is tired of the politics and disrespect.